Okay, cool. So again, guys, my name's Matt Bullock, technical marketing engineer with Cisco. Been here a crazy long time. So pretty much anything you guys want to hear about, definitely ask questions. I am still technically part engineer, so don't take the marketing in my job title too seriously. And what that really means is that I usually say way, way more than I'm supposed to, which is why we have product management represented at the back of the room to keep me honest. But that being said, I don't usually volunteer the information, but if you guys want to ask a question, I will usually tell you way more than I'm supposed to. So keep it interactive. I usually jump around in slides in response to what you folks are interested in. So we can go pretty much anywhere you want to throughout the discussion. I'm going to be talking a little bit about IWAN, Intelligent WAN, and then a lot about the new ISR 4000s that we're launching tomorrow morning, pretty much available today. And then after that, we're going to have a couple of gentlemen talk about a couple of our partners, Akamai and Glue. Do you guys want to introduce yourself really quickly and just give them a quick spiel for what you're going to talk about so they can know what?
Hello everyone, my name is Mike Santacross. I run the Northeast for sales for Glue Networks. I'm going to talk about automation and deployment through Glueware for the ISR and ASR routing platforms.
Hi, my name is Randy D'Souza. I'm a solutions engineer with Akamai Technologies, and I'm going to talk about an overview of the partnership that Akamai has done with Cisco and bringing HTTP caching intelligence into the Intelligent WAN platform.
Cool. So any topics that kind of fall within those areas are pretty much fair game. Any questions? In general, what we're talking about today is branch environment, branch routing, and specifically the things that are changing in a branch environment, the way that we see things that are impacting our customers, impacting the products that we're building, specifically the ISR 4000. So while a little bit of this is a little bit of a high-level introduction, this is really what we're thinking about when we're designing these new ISR routers, these new platforms. These are all things that kind of dive into the innards inside of the boxes. And one of the things we're seeing is a huge shift in the way corporations, large enterprises really think about their branch office. So the branch is still where you interact with typically 80% or more of your employees, of your end customers. So it's extremely important, but it's also one of the places where enterprises are looking to reduce costs as much as possible, and that taking a lot of different forms, both in terms of the intelligence in the branch office with rich full-serviced applications running their servers in the branch being moved to virtual servers, cloud servers, public and private cloud services, as well as trying to reduce the cost as much as possible in the wide area network. So trying to squeeze as many bits as possible through every dollar that you have on the WAN. Those are really the things that we're thinking about when we're building ISRs and we're looking at features and technologies that go into the branch office. ISRs are still, first and foremost, branch platforms. We do get used in a lot of places around the world, but the primary focus is on branch sites. And branch is intentionally a little bit vague, but it generally is, a couple of hundred users or less, although that's a very broad definition. You can go much higher, you can go much lower than that, depending on the specifics of the environment. Okay, so really with the movement to the cloud, with the movement to virtualization, we're getting a lot of companies telling us that the WAN is too slow, but they're not willing to put the money into increasing the raw bandwidth there. So we're just trying to squeeze more stuff through that link than ever before, all resulting in lots of things trying to squeeze through that link. So lots of rich media, lots of rich web applications, all trying to consume that bandwidth with pretty much equal priority, which is best effort. And all trying to get the best possible user experience on mobile devices, on standard desktops, laptops, what have you. Okay? And of course, budget. That's the biggest constraint. So that's where Intelligent WAN really comes into play, and this is really a framework for how we're talking about wide area connections at Cisco now. It's really an entire vision, which is kind of a broad term, a fluffy term, but it's a lot of technology under the hood that really works towards squeezing as much as possible out of that WAN connection, out of that branch office, while keeping costs low or even reducing costs as much as possible. Now, some of this, one of the really cool things about the Intelligent WAN vision that I like to talk to people about is that it is a marketing story, but it actually involves some really tangible technologies that in many cases we've had around for a long time. We just haven't really marketed and built real solutions around. Which I think is one of the great things about Intelligent WAN. In a nutshell, what we're really looking at doing is looking at your traditional enterprise network, your traditional enterprise branch, where you will typically have an expensive MPLS connection or leased line connection. You might have an alternate path public internet connection with a VPN, with an encrypted tunnel there just for backup. It's just sort of a cold backup there, just sitting there idle most of the time. And you've got a whole collection now of private, virtual, and public cloud type of deployments that we're moving to. Intelligent WAN is really looking more towards building what we call transport agnostic into the design, so really a common overlay layer that really says that anything that is underneath the actual moving bits and packets around the network can be swapped out completely independently of the actual logical network topology. And the way we do that is with an overlay technology with DMVPN. So within that, you can swap out that expensive MPLS connection, you can swap out internet connections for whatever makes the most economic sense in a particular location, and wind up with a hybrid WAN transport design where you're using whatever path is most economical, meets the business needs at any one point in time. Giving you the chance to, when possible, when it makes sense, to move from MPLS over to a public internet connection, or to at least utilize that backup as a hot backup simultaneously. And then finally, at the final stage, really moving to a direct internet access. So all of your hybrid cloud, all of your public cloud services get dumped off onto the internet directly at the branch rather than going all the way to the head and all the way to the data center. So those are the kind of high-level concept of an intelligent WAN, is really using the features that are already there in your WAN, already there in your network devices on either end, at the head end and at the branch, to squeeze as much through as possible into that connection. So 4 major pillars to intelligent WAN that you'll hear a lot about in other presentations and in other Cisco marketing collateral. Transport independent design, the real reality under the hood of that is DMVPN. Basically a common overlay technology that lets you swap out MPLS for traditional business grade internet circuits, for leased line, whatever makes the most sense in a particular area. Intelligent path control, PFR, with the latest PFR v3 that's just been launched, that basically lets you use that primary and that backup connection simultaneously, so that you're not paying for a connection there that's just sitting there idle, waiting for the primary circuit to fail. You've got both of those options there. Application optimization with basically WAN optimization here, trying to squeeze as much through as possible, and with application visibility, so that you're optimizing, selectively optimizing the application traffic that you really care a lot about. And we'll hear a lot more about that with Akamai when we talk about that and how we've partnered with them in bringing the best possible application optimization to the branch. And then finally, secure connectivity, both in terms of encrypting that connection and then also making sure that you've got a secure handoff to the public internet if you are doing direct internet access. So that takes the role of hardened firewalls within the router itself, within the network, as well as secure web filtering and IPS inside of the branch itself. So these are all things that we're thinking about when we're building the ISRs. And I always like to say that we take that I very seriously in the ISR names. The integrated services routers are really the Swiss Army knives of the networking world. We get almost no one that uses every feature that's under the hood in these things, but regardless of what your networking challenge is, there's probably a feature in these boxes that will have a solution there, or get you to a point that you can use them and it'll solve what you're fighting against. So that's something that's very serious to us.
Will you have more on intelligent WAN later on?
That was it. Unless you guys want to hear more, I can bring up lots of slides on it. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So do you want to hear more about the specific technologies, or? Okay. Let me get through the ISR 4000 section. We'll introduce you to the platforms, and then we'll see how much time we've got at the end. But we can dig way into PFR v3, DMVPN, some of the latest advances there. The greatest thing about intelligent WAN, I always like to say, well, like I said earlier, is that a lot of this technology has been around for a while. It just really hasn't been put together in a nice, clean solution the way intelligent WAN really does. So DMVPN, really nothing earth-shatteringly new there. It's been around for a while. PFR, we're on version 3 now, which only makes the configuration easier, the performance better, the application awareness even better, but the concept has been around for 10 years. So that's really nothing at a core that's really new. Certainly application optimization, AVC, and WAS are things that have been around for several years, but they're really being tied together and stitched together in a way that we haven't really talked about before. And of course, secure connectivity, that's something we've had since the really the 2600 days when we introduced firewalling into a router for the very first time. So that's all stuff that most of these components are a combination of what's old and what's new and what's been around and is really widely adopted in the industry, but not really talked about a whole lot. So that's one of the really cool things here. But we can definitely spend a lot of time talking about that.